Welcome into the Every Game on the Board podcast New Year's Day special here. We get the college football playoff. We also have 3 games as an appetizer here we're going to be breaking down. So New Year's Day bowl games. I am Drew Martin, the host, going solo here for the final episode of the year. Huge shout out to the sponsors of the show making this happen. BetOnline.ag. The game starts here. BetOnline.ag. Go check them out if you're looking for a sports book. And Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. So we got 12 noon Eastern kickoff of the first game. Then it should go all the way through. I mean, these playoff games tend to get a little bit longer, so it might go all the way till, hey, maybe midnight on the East Coast. So we're kicking off here with Wisconsin and LSU in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium. I believe this is the old Outback Bowl. 12 noon Eastern here. It looks like 60 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour wind, so it should be a nice day there in Tampa. -9, that's the Bayou Bengals as the favorite, 57 being the total. Luke Fickell versus Brian Kelly is the coaching matchup here. Love Brian Kelly, X's and O's style. Luke Fickell, nothing against him. He's a good coach as well. 7-5 on the season for Wisconsin. 9-3 for LSU, but the big story here, Jalen Daniels, he opts out of this bowl game, getting ready for the NFL, the Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to go with sophomore Garrett Nussmeier at the quarterback position. He did play in 6 games this season. Decent numbers. I've seen him throw it. It looks like he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, have a good future here in college football. But anytime you lose the Heisman Trophy winner and the athletic ability he brings behind center, I think that's huge question marks for LSU. Now, this was the number 1 offense in the country by a lot of metrics, over 550 yards per game, almost 50 points per game. They would really go. And, their defense wasn't all that great. So it's kind of like LSU with the offensive, fireworks. But Wisconsin, their defense was pretty good this year. Now, their offense, not so much, only 380 yards per game, average 21 points per game. But their defense has not let up more than 24 points in any game since all the way back on September 9th. That was the second game of the season. They lost to Washington State. They only gave up 31 points in that game. So this defense has been steady, holding teams like Ohio State to 24 points. I don't believe they played Michigan this season in the Big Ten, but, the better teams they kind of hung with, and they're catching 9 here against LSU. And I just think it comes back to too many question marks, losing the Heisman Trophy winner as your quarterback. I think it kind of plays a little bit slower than 57 is the total. And I think Wisconsin stays within the number. So this isn't best bet for the show, anything like that. But if you're looking for bets to kick off your Saturday, I would go with the Badgers plus the 9, Big Ten versus SEC. I bring that up, guys, because the next game is also these 2 conferences going at it. And by the time we get to this point in bowl season, a kind of handicapping tidbit that I look at is how the conferences are doing so far in this bowl season. And sure enough, the SEC 3-3, the Big Ten is 4-2 on the year. The Big Ten 4-2, Big 12, I believe, is 5-3. And so one of those 2 conferences likely going to have like the best record mark, unless Conference USA and Liberty can win one here at the end. But 2-1, the SEC against the Big Ten, with Mississippi beating Penn State and Missouri beating Ohio State. And the one win for Big Ten was Maryland crushing Auburn, unfortunately. That was tough to watch as an Auburn alumni. But either way, getting to the Citrus Bowl here, guys, 1 p.m., right down I-4 from Tampa to Orlando. We get Iowa and Tennessee, -6. The Tennessee Vols as the favorite, 36 being the total. A Tennessee game with a total of 36. Man, that's something I wouldn't expect. But we're playing Iowa here. Kirk Ferentz coached Iowa team. Josh Heupel, the head coach for Tennessee. So these 2 coaches going to look to do kind of separate things. One playing really good defense, no offense. Tennessee looks to go up tempo, but Joe Milton, their quarterback, not going to be playing in this game. I believe he opted out. I wasn't a huge fan of Joe Milton as it was, though. I just didn't think he was accurate with the football down the field, and I don't like betting on those type of quarterbacks. Looks like we get a 5-star freshman quarterback from California. His name's kind of tough to pronounce, so I'll skip that part of it. But either way, this line was 7.5. Tennessee is the favorite. Now we're getting them 5.5, even -6 here. I think the Vols, with a little bit of quote unquote line value out there under that key number of 7, I like Tennessee here, guys. I wouldn't downgrade them too much with Joe Milton not playing. It also looks like pretty good weather here, so they should be able to throw it around a little bit. Now, Iowa's defense might be able to, cause some problems. Sure, it was a really good defense, but I just think we get top to bottom of the roster talent on Tennessee's side. Give me the Vols -6 in the Citrus Bowl. We got one more here before the playoffs. It's 1 p.m. Eastern in the Fiesta Bowl, Glendale, Arizona here. So this is an early kick. Liberty and Oregon, 68 being the total. The Ducks -18-point favorites. It was 14.5. So we've seen a pretty decent sized move here with a lot of Oregon money coming in. I agree with it, guys. Now we got to go off of the line doing this New Year's Eve here. And that's Oregon -18. That's the bet I made in this one. Talking about Liberty first, Conference USA champions. There's a possibility if Texas or Alabama win the national championship that they might be the only undefeated team in college football. That would be kind of cool to brush off your shoulder if you're a Liberty member, the Flames, so to speak. But 13-0 on the year, 9-4 against the spread. Conference USA 2-1 so far this bowl season, but they're up against Oregon here, 11-2 on the season. They were undefeated against every team on their schedule not named Washington. They lost to Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. That's why they're here in the Fiesta Bowl. They also lost to Washington in the regular season as well. But Oregon against the spread, 10-3 against the number. They were awesome this year. And their quarterback, Bo Nix, man, he made the jump over the Pac-12, and he's been playing really good football behind center. Slater, the quarterback for Liberty, he's a pretty good athlete as well. But the only problem I see with Liberty is their schedule. I mean, their schedule is awful. There was FCS teams, like kind of the next division down in college football that had more difficult schedules than Liberty. They did not play a Power 5 conference team this year. So to win all your games, hey, it's something. But when the best team you played, and I love Jerry Kill in New Mexico State, but they beat New Mexico State twice, and actually in the championship game. That game was close until New Mexico State's quarterback got knocked out. So I just don't know about taking Liberty here. I think that this one might get ugly. And last thing, and maybe most importantly here, their head coach, Dan Lanning, he was an assistant under Kirby Smart at Georgia. We just saw what Georgia did. And, he learned under Kirby Smart. And the way that he kind of coaches here, when they're favored by 25 or more points, listen to these scores, guys. -48, they were favored, almost laying a half 100 against Presbyterian. It wasn't enough. They won 81-7. They were laying 38 versus Hawaii. They won 55-10. They were laying 26 against Cal. They won 63-19. And they were laying 25 against Arizona State. And they won that game 49-13. So they were 4-0 when laying 25 points or more against the number. They like to go pedal to the metal and score points. I would look for that to continue here, guys. I like Oregon -18 in the Fiesta Bowl, last game before the playoffs. Do want to say Happy New Year out there if you're watching on New Year's Day. Shout out to sponsors of the show, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. That's me opening one here on New Year's Eve. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. # Viva Up. If you're listening on podcast, that was me opening a Viva. But also, huge shout out, betonline.ag. BetOnline, the game starts here. If you're looking for a sports book, check out betonline.ag. Next game up, the first playoff game, Rose Bowl, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time here, Monday, January 1st, in the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, California. 45 being the total, in Michigan -2 as the favorite. Michigan won all of their games. They won the Big Ten Conference. Alabama won the SEC, the biggest win of the season, beating Georgia. But they did lose to Texas, who also finds themselves in the college football playoffs. Early in the season, Texas went into Tuscaloosa, won by, I think, double digits, actually. So I don't know. It's a difficult handicap, guys. These two, it's a big game. I mean, first off, it is an open air stadium, so it's 65 degrees, clear skies. I like Alabama as the side. I just think Nick Saban, extra time to prepare. He's done it so much. And even going back to last year in the playoff, guys, it was Jim Harbaugh against TCU and Sonny Dykes. Jim Harbaugh got out coached. Sonny Dykes was on to, he was like let known of the knowledge of Michigan tends to know their opponent's plays, and he used it to their advantage. TCU got out to that lead, and Michigan couldn't crawl back in that game. I don't know. I think it comes back again, guys. Nick Saban, one of the best coaches in college football, a lot of people's opinion, the best. And I don't know. I guess a matchup wise, why I like Alabama as well, is Jalen Milroe, their quarterback. Michigan didn't face a quarterback this season like Milroe. So I think athletically he could give him some trouble. And it points me towards this total here. It brought up Texas going into Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. That was when Alabama's offense wasn't rolling. They were having all kinds of problems offensively. This is a different offense now. I could see Alabama putting up some points. Michigan does have a good defense, statistically one of the best in college football, but they didn't play that much talent offensively in their Big Ten schedule. They really didn't, guys. And I think Milroe and Alabama is going to put up some points. And on the other side of things, I think Michigan's offense is going to put up some points as well. They got a good quarterback, a lot of talent there. So clear skies in the Rose Bowl, 45. It's a low total. I think it's too light. I wouldn't be surprised if these teams get into the 60s. I like Alabama and Michigan over the total in the Rose Bowl. Got one game left here to finish it off. Quick show, every game on the board. Really appreciate everybody smashing the like button, commenting on YouTube, downloading the podcast, guys. I see the numbers. It's growing all over. So it's really cool. Every game on the board, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at. Last game here, heading to the Big Easy, New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. It's Washington and Texas minus 4-point favorites or 3.5, 63 being the total. It's kind of a split line just the day before the game. New Year's Eve is what I'm talking right now. And what I'm getting at is go check out betonline.ag, sponsor of the show, and get that +4 on Washington. Don't get the 3.5. Go get that +4. I think the Huskies win this game. I really do, guys. Couple reasons why. Texas, well, first off, these two teams played last year in the Alamo Dome. Don't want to put too much into that, but Washington did win that game outright. And when you look at Texas, their one loss this season was to Oklahoma. And the quarterback for Oklahoma is Dylan Gabriel. If I'm comparing Dylan Gabriel to anybody, just kind of the profile of quarterback that they are, I would say Michael Penix. Very similar. They both throw really pretty footballs down the field. They're accurate with the football. They do have athletic ability to kind of extend plays. And sure enough, the quarterback for Washington is Michael Penix. He was in the Heisman Trophy running. This is the number one pass offense in the country, 13-0. And Texas losing to Oklahoma, I think it's kind of the same profile almost. They also played a lot of backup quarterbacks, Texas. So I think their defensive numbers are a lot better statistically than really maybe they are. And I think it points to Washington having some success. So I think Washington's going to score some points here, guys. I mean, it's a controlled climate there in New Orleans where the Saints play their home games. And again, 13-0, number one pass offense in the country. And last thing here, how about this stat? Their head coach, Kalen DeBoer, 24-2 at Washington. So he's done really nothing but win there for the Huskies. Give me Washington +4, and that's the best bet for the show here, guys. Again, last episode of every game on the board. And hey, saying Happy New Year out there. Hopefully you're enjoying your New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And for bowl season here, starting 12 noon Eastern, Wisconsin and LSU. And we'll finish it off with Texas and Washington. Washington +4 is the best bet for the show. At Drew Martin Bets on Twitter is where you can get at me, guys. On YouTube, every game on the board. And every game on the board wherever you're downloading your podcasts at. Check out vivatequilaseltzer.com and betonline.ag, sponsors of the show, making this year happen. So huge shout out to them. Again, guys, thanks for listening. Smash that like button, and we'll talk next year. Thanks for tuning in. Cash those